Welcome to the Coaching Life Podcast.
Yes, welcome. Welcome.
Welcome.
It's been 3 weeks, I believe,
Yep.
because we are 2 weeks into the baseball season,
Yeah.
and this is an anomaly for us. This early
That we're here, or that we
that we're recording a podcast here. In,
I agree.
in
I felt-
mid-March.
I feel good about it too.
Or I guess early March after a couple weeks of practice. I mean,
I was almost
people
ready
should
to.
feel good that you're getting a podcast at this time of the year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's baseball season.
You know why we're recording today, I'll bet? Because it's just not baseball weather out there today.
Yeah,
It's just not. It's cold. It snowed this morning.
We're planning to go outside today.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm gonna with this shorter practice. I'm not gonna practice as long this year. I have a theory.
Okay.
I'm gonna test it out. I feel like we've, this would be my fourth season as a head coach at Meg's, and consistently over the last 3 years we've practiced 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
Throughout the season. Now, granted, when I say that, we split up. Our varsity and JV practice separate. So I'm talking, 13, 14, 15, 16 guys practicing for 2.5, 3 hours. And
then another 13 or 14 doing it for another 2.5, 3 hours.
normally about another, probably 2 hours, yeah.
How
hour
much
and a half.
daylight do you have down there in Meg's?
Well, normally what
local
happens is
school
the
district?
JV will start about 4:30. They'll
Yeah.
either be out in the cage, or if we're out in the cage, they'll be on the field. So we'll kind of share the field or the facilities for an overlap. And then,
I did that at Athens a little bit.
did you?
I tried to practice together as much as possible.
Yeah.
But then we did the overlap thing.
Yeah, I know, and I've
It works
considered
out.
that too. I do think there's a lot of merit in practicing together.
There is, because there's a lot of positives, but there's also some negatives. The negatives come, of course, in the number of reps that everybody gets.
Right.
And that's tough. It's one of the reasons why we do a lot of individual stuff before the official practice plan kicks in.
Yeah,
But I like the cultural aspect of it, where, like yesterday, we went over first and third defenses and bunt coverages, which are really simple. It's not something that we complicate, but we want to make sure, it's really easy when I'm teaching it to both groups.
Yep. Yep.
One group goes to the cage, the other group's with me, and we do it. And but no,
yeah. So we're doing that today too, actually.
so you're going to cut it from what, 3 hours to hour and a half?
to 2 normally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my goal is 2 hour practices, and then maybe depending on what the situation is, we might bump it up to 2.5 or 3 if maybe one gets canceled or we think we need some additional time to work on something.
Yeah.
But the reason I thought that is because I feel like we've peaked early
Wow.
as teams. Yeah, so I'm wondering if that's part of the reason.
He's peaked early, folks.
The
We got him on March 28th. I'm a little nervous now.
no, well, so here's the flip side of that
peaked
is
already.
when if you're not putting that same time in, you're not going to be ready as soon either.
You're right. You're right.
But over the last 2 weeks, most of our practices have been 3 hours. So right now, going through what I would call our tryout period.
Yeah.
So that we can decide, who's going to play what their roles are going to be. We've been going longer when weather dictates. Tonight we're going to go 3 to 5 because it's going to be so cold outside. We're not able to get inside today, and that's what we're going to do. Tomorrow we're going to do an inter squad.
Yeah.
Probably I have it planned for 3
Tomorrow
to 5.
looks good.
Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be
Yeah.
nice, and all next week's going to be nice
Yep.
too.
In theory.
In theory, right? Yeah, yesterday was supposed to be okay too,
Right.
but it ended
Right.
up to all the rain and the wind that we were supposed to get.
It's tough to predict.
Yeah, well, it's especially for the professionals that are paid to do it. It seems very
Right.
tough for them
Right.
to predict it.
We're in the wrong career here.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know when we play on the 28th. Of course, that game's probably going to get canceled because.
Oh no, rain, shine,
No,
mud.
there's no
it doesn't
way.
matter.
It's going to be. It better be 85 and crisp out there, or
We'll take
we're
that.
just getting right back on the bus. And no, we're not going to have another mud bowl that we had last year. No, I'm just kidding. Probably won't be great weather that day.
You go back to the practice length of time point. There was a coach, I'm trying to think of who it was. Actually, I think, I don't want to misquote, but I'm pretty sure, I'm 95% sure that it was Coach Jeff Skinner when he was talking to youth basketball, back when he was coaching basketball at Athens. This would have been back in the 2012, 13, 14 years. And I was coaching at the youth level. And he had a little clinic with us, little meeting with us there, and kind of talked about how they're doing things at the high school. And I think I remember him saying that he was a proponent of shorter practices. He said once we get into our season where we start playing games, it's an hour and a half. He said if you can't, he said, and he even said, I'm a believer that if you guys at the youth level go longer than an hour and a half, you're losing them anyway. He said if you can't get done in an hour and a half what you need to get done, then you're not being very efficient with your practice time.
Yeah.
And I take that to heart. And I think it varies from sport to sport as well, especially when you consider the number of different skills that you have to practice and the number of different team. There's, in baseball, you've got individual skills and you've got team things, and then you've got to scrimmage a lot. I mean, you kind of have to go live a lot, and all that takes time. Because people are putting on equipment, taking off equipment, coming onto the field, leaving the field. Like, you can't have a football practice in an hour and a half. You just, I mean, depending on what you're doing. You don't walk through, no pads. Right. I'm not a football coach. I don't know, but I've just never seen too many of those practices go an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Less than 3 hours.
That's a Cal Ripken principle too, from a youth
Is
level.
Is it? Actually, maybe that's who I heard it from, because I went to a Ripken clinic back about that time as well.
Yeah, I think he has that as a
in his book.
In his book.
Yeah, Ripken baseball. It's something for coaches to consider. I mean, be intentional about your practice plans and detailing things out, and
I think it depends on your team too,
moving. And not trying to do everything in the same night. That's one of the things that's tough. Is there are certain things that I want to do every day, right? But there are some things that you want to do every day, but when you do, it takes a good chunk of practice.
Mm-hmm. And the concept of quality over quantity. You know, a lot of times, when you think of BP, people think 150 swings.
Yep.
And
we put that away a long time ago.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get up, but I really like to keep our swings limited to 5 swings.
If you're live,
per rotation.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you're live it's
pitching.
an at-bat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
or I mean, I'm not talking about like live bullpens, but like even off a hack attack or off a pitching machine or something.
And one big reason for that for me is you're not training the actual scenario, because when you're in a box, how many times do you swing?
Yep.
Very rarely are you swinging 5 times.
And how often do you end on a good one?
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
allow that.
You don't end on a good one.
If you swing and miss on on the last ball that's supposed to be coming to you, if you pop it up, you're done. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
That's
one thing we did. So the first 2 weeks, week and a half that we've practiced this year, we've been keeping track of everybody's successes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody got a certain amount of swings in the cage. Everyone gets a certain amount of bats and bullpens. Everyone gets a certain amount of ground balls hit to them, a certain amount of fly balls hit to them. Coaches got to go around and share that responsibility so that they could see everybody. And we charted that.
Objective criteria.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Now,
that you can share with them.
Yeah.
In a tryout process.
Yeah.
Evaluation
it
process.
Paints a picture.
It does.
It paints a picture. I know one kid, just pops up in my head as an example. He's, he ranks very high in a lot of our, our hitting and our fielding, throwing, accuracy, a lot of those metrics, but he's not that fast. He's not that strong. Mm-hmm. His exit velo isn't great.
Yeah.
His throwing velocity isn't great. So, I was talking to him a little bit last night, and I said, look, you're doing good. You look good. We really need to get you in the gym this off
stronger.
Yeah,
those numbers are telling you you're just not very strong.
Yeah, and you spend this off season in the gym from the time our season ends, which we lift now too, but more of a to stay up with it, maintenance, health reasons. We're adding, but we're only lifting 2 times a week, which isn't ideal to gain, but.
We're going 3.
Yeah,
but it's pretty quick. We're in and out in a half an hour.
Yeah, that's what we're
mobility and then lifts.
We normally do a squat and a row or a bench and a shoulder series, and that's been really beneficial to us.
Do you have all 29 of your guys in there? You have 29 in your roster, right?
We have 28 right now.
28.
There's been some.
Yeah, that happens.
There's been some shuffling, but not all of them's there right now. We got some guys that are out of town.
Gotcha. Waited until baseball season to schedule vacations. Is
Yes.
that the way it works?
Yeah. Well, a couple of them are like they've never played before. And haven't played in a while.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, next year this is when baseball starts.
Here's how this works, my man. Yeah, right.
And we have a guy that is recovering from ACL surgery. So, but we have 24 in there, 23 in there. Well, we have
how many racks?
12 racks.
Yeah, you can go 2 at a time.
Yeah.
Or 2 at a rack.
Yeah.
So we have 6 racks and 26 guys. And we got.
So you split them up.
We have one guy who has a prosthesis, and he's doing his own stuff, right?
Yep.
So he's working by himself. And then so we have 2 groups of 5 because basically we essentially have 25 guys in 6 racks. 2 groups of 5. Everybody else is a group of 4. And so we have one guy's doing the main lift, if that's a squat or a bench or a row or something. Those are the 3 main I think that we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The other guy's spotting. The third guy is doing some kind of body weight, like either 5-way push-ups or pull-ups or something mobility wise. And then the 5th guy is doing something with dumbbells, rows or Romanian deadlifts or some kind of
That's good.
or Bulgarian split squat.
I think that's great.
And then they just rotate like a circuit. So we're going 3 sets of each thing, rotating like a circuit. There's a lot of energy in there. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's a cool time to be in there.
Do you have someone calling out the reps, or is it just like you're in this group, you work hard?
Because each group works at its own pace. We got groups down here. I'm thinking the groups down here on this side of the weight room. They've been in the weight room for every week, 3 times a week, and so just it's familiar to them.
That's how we do it too.
And so they're on their own pace, and the guys down here, our coaches spend most of the time with the guys on that side of the weight room because some of the stuff is still kind of new to them, and so they've been told if you've not squatted in a year with a barbell on your back, you're not going to squat with a barbell yet, and things like that. And so we're just because I think one of the things I like about this, I actually told a couple of our guys this on day one, is I said I couldn't say that that it was mandatory for you to be in the weight room in the off season. I tried to encourage you to come in here, but it was your choice, right? And I could do everything. I could try to persuade you as much as possible, but I can't say if you're not in there you can't play baseball, right? I said it's mandatory now. This is part of practice. It's mandatory. So now you're going to be really sore for the first 2 weeks of practice, and you're going to find out how out of shape you are compared to other guys that have been in here. And I hope it's a lesson to you because you're a sophomore or a freshman, whatever you are, and you didn't play a sport in the winter and you could have been in here, but you weren't. And so I'm just being really honest with you. This is important, and you're going to find out how important this is. And, and now we get on the field and you start hitting the baseball and you start hearing the way the ball comes off the bat of some guys who have been in the weight room for a year. It's a little stronger. It's a little better exit velo. It's a little more pop. It's a little more, you're getting exit velo, as you said. I bet there's a big gap between guys that have lifted and guys that haven't. Mm-hmm. You're probably looking at somewhere low 90s for guys that have been lifting and high 60s for guys that haven't.
Yep.
Or, maybe 70s.
Yeah. Or we're more in we're like mid 80s for the bigger guys and probably right at low 80s. But I don't know if we're.
Well, I said low 90s. That's it's pretty good high school exit velo if you're in the low 90s.
Yeah,
that's a good college. Good benchmark for college entry level.
But either way, you're right.
It's 85. Most high school good hitters are between 85 and 90 probably. And,
or just big kid, there's big strong kids. Maybe not, but you can't say, well, that big strong kid didn't spend his year in the weight room. Well, you're right, but if he did, he'd probably be hitting 10, hitting 10 more mile per hour on his exit velo.
Right.
But that doesn't. You're still competing against that kid. So the fact that he wasn't in there means nothing. Only that you weren't in there, that means everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? You get in there so you can get to that. We talk, stronger, faster kids.
It is.
It gives you such an advantage.
It does.
And, that's how you get that. That's why Mark Ripito said what he did. Mm-hmm. That becomes more.
Yeah, what he said was, I would encourage a kid who's freshman going into a sophomore year, skip your sophomore year. Don't play any sports. Just get stronger, and you're not gonna regret it your junior and senior year. You will be light years better than you would have been if you just played sports all year.
I 100% believe that.
Yeah, but the good thing is kids you don't have to do that in high school.
No,
you start lifting as a 6th grader, 7th grader. I mean, get strong now, get into the habit, and then lift while you're playing.
Yeah,
there's time to do that. Yeah. We always kind of come back to this strength point in our, and there's a reason for it. Yeah. Because we're in the first 2 weeks of evaluating our teams, and the biggest gap that we're probably both seeing between players isn't juniors and seniors versus freshmen, sophomores. It's kids that have been lifting versus kids that haven't. Because I got freshmen, ball's popping off the bat.
Yeah, sure.
Ball's coming out of the hand pretty quick, on the mound. It's a difference maker. It really is a difference maker. Yeah, I was standing behind the screen the other night. We had the hack attack on the field, and we were doing live we had base runners running live and a hitting group hitting those base trying to score those base runners. And so I was just kind of seeing what the hack was on first few hitters, and Rowan Gilmore was up, and the hack was between 74 and 76, and so I got one of those pitches, 94. He hit it dead center, hit the base of the fence on a nose. I'm like, that was your exit velo.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's
nice.
A really good exit velo.
Yeah.
He's a big strong kid.
We take ours. We've measured ours off a tee.
Off a tee. Yeah, you're not going to get that. Yeah, that's the other reason why it won't be as high.
Well, I don't know.
Ball's sitting still.
I did some research on that, and based on what I've seen, it's actually higher. It's off of a tee.
That's interesting.
But maybe that's wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe that was an AI response.
Who knows?
At any rate, 94 is a good exit velo from a pitch. It's off a tee wherever you're at. That's a good velo. So.
I remember when Brock was going around and
hold on a second. I want to write that down to make sure I remember that for March 28th.
Well, you're just going to throw him all curveballs, I know. It's all right. He's getting.
We might mix it up.
He's going to be able to hit it.
We might mix you up this year.
I think I remember Brock's exit velo when he was at AB at their camp when he was in high school, at 85 to 88, something like that.
That's what our better hitters are.
They were
better.
They liked that. I mean, yeah. So that was Yeah,
from what I read, 80 off a tee, 80 to 90 off a tee is good, and then 90 is it's really good.
Yeah.
Like if you have 90 exit velo, you're like popping it.
And why does that matter for someone who's listening to our podcast that maybe like, why are these guys talking about nurse
exit velo? How fast the ball's coming off the bat?
Yeah.
Well, I would equate it to the kind of a step after being the way that if you're stronger and faster, it makes things easier. If the ball's coming off the bat faster, it makes it that much more difficult to field it. And
to get to
a ball hitting a gap. If it's hit slow, it increases the range of the fielders trying to get it. Line drive, same way. If it gets there fast, it's harder to catch it. And, there's a correlation between exit velo and distance too. So you have the right launch angle. I know a lot of people now don't want to hear that word launch angle because they relate it to certain hitting techniques that are being coached. But launch angle does matter.
Sure it does.
But if you hit it at the right launch angle at the highest velocity, that's when you start hitting your home runs and things like that. So the faster in the same way with throwing a ball. If you have a high infield throwing velo, which I know you track that in tryouts, different times, for our summer travel team that we coached here a few years ago, and our Legion teams, the faster you can get across the infield, the better chance you have of getting a runner out.
Yep.
And
Well, and that could be that you have quicker hands or you have a higher velo, or it
could be either.
And if you got both, then
you're athletic.
Yes.
You're really athletic and are able to get to the ball. Which one thing that is as far as a strength and conditioning perspective, single leg work.
Yeah.
It doesn't just make you stronger; it makes you a better athlete. It increases your balance, your dexterity. It just makes you better. So, get in the weight room, folks.
Yeah.
Young people, get on that.
Definitely.
It's a It's a game changer. You can't be the best that you can be if you're not. You can be good,
Absolutely.
but if you're going to be, you want to be better. That's a
Yeah.
low hanging fruit to get there.
One of the quotes from going back to Mark Ripto, one of the quotes that I really appreciated from him was is that the building blocks of athleticism are strength, strength and speed, right? And that's strength. Athleticism is something that God has given you. Like, I am as athletic as I'm ever going to be because gene has something to do with genes and just your body type and just so like you're given your athleticism, and so you can't really increase athleticism, but you can, because the building blocks of athleticism is strength and speed, and so you get stronger, then you become more athletic.
Yeah.
You appear more athletic, or it's actually real. I mean, you will hit it harder. You will run faster if you're stronger. Yeah.
Try to explain that to someone.
Yeah.
What? Because
It's not about losing and gaining weight.
there's people.
Guys will graduate college, run on a 4.640, go to the pros, gain 40 pounds, and run a 4.4 or run a 4.3. Yeah.
It's an explosive movement. Running's an explosive movement.
So it requires muscle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else are we doing this week?
That's what we've been doing. I don't know if folks out there can see it on my face, but
Are you stressed out?
There's a lot of things. I don't know that I'm stressed.
There's administrative things that come with coaching.
Well, just I mean, and I talked to the guys about this the other day. Talking about roles.
Yeah.
Roles on a team. That we're going to have roles, and part of having a role, you have responsibilities, and some of those responsibilities aren't fun.
Yeah.
But that's as the head coach of the program, I have things that I have to do.
Yeah.
That wear on me.
Yeah.
And if I don't do those things, the program and the team and the individuals can't be the best that they can be. So it's things that we got to do. But I don't think I'm stressed. I've been stressed before, like bad. I've been stressed before, but it's just
the first couple weeks are always the first week is always probably the most stressful to me, because you want to come in strong. You want to come in setting the tone and setting the culture, and at the same time, the kids are nervous. The young kids are nervous, right? And they want to know where they are, and they're trying to impress you. And when they make a mistake, they get down. And so it's a coachable moment usually, and to help them with their mentality. But it's also, you kind of want to not talk to them too much about that, because then they start thinking about it more. They're just nervous. They're nervous, and
so that right there, it's just an example of the things that weigh on you as a coach.
Yeah.
It's really, it's not. I mean, it is game related, because that's how the game's played. You get out there, you're going to make a mistake. How are you going to rebound from it?
Yeah.
You have success. How are you going to maintain it? It is important, but how to walk that line between saying enough or saying too much.
Right.
It's things that leave you, laying awake at night thinking,
Yeah.
So,
Should I have said that, or
right.
or should
Right.
should I have said more? Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, the decisions you have to make.
Right.
I mean, I wish everyone could experience it.
And explaining the rationale.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always hard to make that make sense.
It really is.
Because you're speaking to a perspective, and it's just it's very tough. You have to be very mature, and we're not dealing with
Sure.
we're dealing with kids that are growing and learning. Young men that are figuring out what it means to be mature and where they fit, and being able to accept that. So but when you sit down across from a kid, if you're telling them they're going to their role to start as a starter on varsity, or they're going to play JV, or it might be we're not
Depending on your
around.
situation, you might
we're
be
gonna
have to cut.
We're gonna cut you. None of us. I don't know anybody. I can't conceive in my mind that any high school baseball coach would find any amount of happiness sitting across from a kid and telling them, I'm going to cut you. And as a matter of fact, we want the opposite. We want to sit down and say, you're in line first, to start. You're going to be a starter to start, to start the season. You got to keep it.
Yeah.
This is where we see you right now.
Yeah, those meetings are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They bring you, it makes you happy. It gives you, it fills you with energy. But it's the flip side.
Yeah.
When you're going to tell someone something that they're disappointed in. And, I want all my kids to be disappointed if they're not going to play varsity. I don't care if they're freshman or sophomore or, what grade they're in or how good they are. I want them to want.
You want them to want that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And you appreciate the disappointment.
Sure.
When they feel it, and when you say, this is where you are today.
Yeah.
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 Brock told me yesterday he had a freshman. I always hesitate to tell these stories because you don't know who listens to the podcast and who doesn't. But it's not like I'm not going to say the name. But
right, sure.
Had a freshman come to him and say, hey, do you think I got a chance to make the varsity? And it illustrates, I think, because he doesn't this year have a chance to make the varsity. But it illustrates that like you said, you're talking to a perspective. The perspective sometimes is not there where, because the first thing Brock said was, man, it's not easy. Like you understand something. If my dad, he talked to him as though, hey, this is my dad. That's the coach. I've seen him do this for years. If he's going to keep you on the varsity as a freshman, you're going to start and play. Otherwise, you're going to be on the JV because he's not going to bring a freshman up to do that. And so he said, Bud, they only graduated one senior last year. All the starters are back except for one guy. So don't feel bad, right? That that there's a lot of not only are all the starters back, all of the bench sitters on the varsity last year.
And you're talking about a district championship team.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not like, but again, it's hard. It's hard. That. Yeah. It's hard.
To that perspective.
Because that perspective is, I got a shot. We all got a shot, right? And you come in, everybody's on an equal playing field. But as soon as you pick up a baseball, and as soon as you run, now you're not on an equal play. I mean, the playing field's equal, but all of a sudden people start separating themselves.
Yeah.
And so now you start to see, okay, this is where you're going to be this year. This is where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. It's tough. It's and one of the things that Brock was able to tell this young man yesterday too was, man, you look good. You keep doing what you're doing because you will be on the varsity someday.
And that makes your program strong.
Right.
And like that, I think that's, one thing that I've been telling guys is, have pride in that. Have pride in knowing that you are you're going to be a great JV player.
Yeah.
And that makes the Megs baseball program stronger than what it would be.
Absolutely.
If the JV is 0-22 this year.
Yeah.
Other teams are going to be excited about that, right? Because they know they're going to get to play that 22 team in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly.
So good programs, I would say, commonly, the majority of good programs don't have freshmen playing varsity year after year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So. And it's not just.
I don't believe there was a single freshman on the Berlin Highland State Championship team that we played against last year.
Freshmen are smaller.
Uh-huh.
They don't have the same baseball IQ. They don't have the same experience. They don't have the same confidence. There's a lot of things.
In general. Everybody's able to point to one, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
and
every program has one or two exceptions.
Mm-hmm. But I would bet that if you take a program, if year after year they're playing starting freshmen, if they're starting freshmen year after year, they probably struggle.
Yeah.
They probably don't have the best record year to year.
I agree with that.
And there's exceptions, but
yeah, I think I've heard high school football coaches tell me you can count your number of losses by how many freshmen you put on the field,
and that relates to
how many freshmen you start,
strength and size.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're if you put a bunch of kids freshmen on a field that are 2/3 the size of their opposition that are juniors and seniors.
Yeah,
there's a difference there.
right,
big difference.
right.
Yeah,
it's pretty fascinating
yeah,
to
I've
look
heard
at
that
that.
too.
Yeah, you got 5 freshmen on the field as starters. You're probably going to have a 500 season.
Yeah,
as a football team.
it's interesting.
Yeah. And I would say that principle is pretty accurate for baseball too. I mean, football teams play 10 games, and so that they've figured that data out a little bit, but
Yeah.
that formula out a little bit. But yeah. No, the administrative stuff it can get heavy, and it's the reason why you appreciate your assistants, have a good
Yes,
staff.
very much.
I'll
so.
tell you, man. I'm living in luxury this year.
Is that right?
We got a good staff, big staff. Yeah, we've
Are you
got
saying that
three young guys.
Because you got rid of some dead weight? Is that what you're saying?
We didn't get rid of anybody.
What do you mean?
Wes Buckley's with us, man.
What?
He is. He is.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, he could not stay away. So but he's not going to be 100% because like this weekend Peyton's going. His team's playing in our one graduate from last year is playing college baseball.
See,
he's playing at Marietta for Ohio Wesleyan University.
Oh,
but he's
you
playing
guys
in
give me a
Marietta.
hard time about having such a big coaching staff.
It's
hard to find people that are able to be there 100% of the time.
It is, and that's why it's important to have a good number of help because he's been very regular though. Like he couldn't stay. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Because we had a text group without him for all summer long. I guess in the fall, not summer, but in the fall, just kind of starting the new year of here's what we're going to be doing in the weight room and all that, and then Wes pops in on the old text like this. We get this message from the 24, the 2024. He's like, hey, I'm just missing you guys. And I said, so I messaged him privately. I said, you still want to be around? I said, we want you. And he's like, yeah, I kind of do. He said, I was looking at my calendar and seeing all the games that I'm going to plan to go to at Peyton's, and like, what am I going to do with all this other time? I said, you're going to be in your Eastern baseball uniform. He goes, all right. And so, yeah,
let me ask you something. You may not want to answer. Easier to coach without your kid playing?
Easier? I would say it's easier.
Less stress? Less
yes,
pressure?
Definitely. Less stress. Definitely.
To validate.
When I go home at night after practice, I might think about a few things. I tell you, the good thing for me is that 35-minute drive I have every day. Because to practice, I prepare mentally. Coming back, I debrief mentally. By the time I get home, it's just home. It's wife time. And so it wasn't like that when I was coaching my own kid, though. It was hard. Like I wasn't taking baseball home to him, but the stress level, like you think about things and how are these other people how are the other kids perceiving how I'm coaching them, and is it fair?
Brock was an amazing player that went and played.
And he was.
Baseball.
Yeah. I would answer that as yes, it is easier, and yes, there is less stress. Is it more fun? If you were to ask me, is it more fun? That would be a hard question, because
it's a good follow-up question.
Because when you succeed, like I think of winning the district championship last year with that team, felt wonderful. It always feels wonderful to win a championship. But there's a little extra when you're going around, you're hugging all these players that are like your kids, and then you get to your kid. There is. So the fun aspect it's hard to answer, because there are times when it's more fun, and there's times when it's a lot less fun because of that stress factor. So yeah. But no, I don't know. I just love baseball. Like I always told Brock, whether you keep playing baseball or not, I'm going to keep coaching it because it's something I love to do. Yeah. Or you asked me that for a reason.
Can't remember why. No, I feel that stress. I feel that pressure. I mean, I always have. I've always known that. I believe that. Like we may have even talked about this before
Yeah.
on the podcast. If you're, I'm sure it comes into play with the daddy ball, discussion.
Yeah, all the time.
But I mean, right now I've got Jake's a senior. He'll be gone next year, off the team, out of the program.
But
I'd
you
love
will
him to come
have
back
another.
and can coach, but I don't think he wants.
Not
it.
interested.
I think he has plans to.
He's not going to have time if he's taking engineering. He could talk to Wes Buckley about that.
I mean, Ethan Stewart has time to play, so.
Yeah, I've seen him in the building here. He was stressed last year.
I think Jake's going to golf and take up golf and fish.
Do something different. Yeah.
But then next year Maya will be in the program.
Yeah, you're going to have 8 years of coaching your own kid.
Yeah. So I just wonder, it's like what, how is my perspective going to change?
Maybe 8.
Well, yeah, you never know. I mean,
you're not going to get fired.
We were 10 and 12 last year. If you string too many more of those together, you'd have to fire me.
You'd have to.
Well, yeah, that's not good enough for Megs baseball. Never has been. I don't think it has. I don't think we've had. I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting to go back and look how many losing seasons Megs baseball's had.
Oh
in
yeah,
history.
There's not been very many. Yeah.
So, might be something they have to consider, but we'll see how.
Not
that
going to
goes.
happen.
You never know, Coach. We got to be better. We got to be better. But yeah, I was just wondering.
Your scenario is a lot like mine. Your son has been a catcher for all 4. You're starting varsity catcher for 4 years. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Brock started some games. I'd say half or a little more than half, maybe his freshman year, and then was all the way through the rest of the time. Yeah. Interesting. So
I just got when Maya's my Kaylee, but he just plays baseball.
Yeah.
Kaylee played softball.
Yeah, she played 3 sports all through high school.
Well, I'm saying you you
Yeah.
didn't do it all through high school.
Yeah, and she is 2 years younger than Brock, so they overlapped a little bit.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you helped coach her last 2 years.
Her last 2 years, yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually really enjoyable. Working with those girls, it was just a whole different.
Was it hard to be an assistant?
Yes. Yeah, it is. If you're not, if it's in your DNA to lead or to want to be the head coach, it's tough.
I've never as a leader, I think I don't know. I've never really considered myself a great leader. Maybe a great organizer.
But man, you are because when you think about your staff, you do it. I mean, you're not even on the field during the game. You've delegated roles to people.
I believe I am going to be.
And are you going
forward,
to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
sure.
That's not the mark of a leader, but it just shows that you have taken a leadership role. Even you're the leader of leaders.
Yeah.
And as well as the coach,
all the responsibility.
Yeah. But we got into this topic because we were talking about assistants. Listen, I was doing my roster sheet this morning, and I had to make more room at the bottom for the staff because we have two more assistants than we had the last couple of years because I got young guys. I've got 3 young guys, recent graduates. So Connor Ridenauer's been out this will be his 4th year out. And at the end of this year. So he's been out for 3 years. Trey Hill's been out for 2 years. Brady Yonker's been out for 2 years. They're all part of the staff and have really good specific roles. They're doing a great job. Brady's a student here at OU, so he's not been able to be there as much. But as soon as classes are over and things like that, he's good to go. But then we have our regulars. Coach Huffman, Coach Buckley, and then Brock has been with us every day. Now, I think it just took me asking him if he would, right? Because he's permitted to. The ADs at Eastern have always coached. Coach Fogel's always coached track and cross country, and it's not. There's a precedent for it. So I said, hey, you love baseball. If it's not going to get you divorced, and Allie's like, oh no, when he's coaching, he's got a lot of energy. You could tell he loves it. And I said, I want you around our guys as much as you want to be there. I said, I want you there every day because we need that. Man,
get him a paid position next year.
Our pitchers are throwing really well, and that's who he's with every day. Yeah, pitchers and catchers, and
that's
and he's doing our weight room too. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's what that allows me to do is just manage. That's really. I understand why a Major League Baseball head coach is called a manager.
Sure.
Because you have a bunch of coaches that are focused specifically on these tasks, and you got to manage all of them. And it's still a big job, but it's different. It's a different job. You see a lot of head football coaches; they're more managers in that way. There's a reason why, like Joe Burrow refers to Nathan White as his coach. Like that's the guy that he talks about a lot. Well, Ryan Adams was the head coach all 4 years Joe was there, but Nathan White was the offensive coordinator, and the passing game coordinator and everything. And that's who he was with all the time. So and no ego off. I mean, didn't hurt Brian's ego any. I mean, that's he knew that. I'm the same way. Like I got kids, I know they love my assistant coaches, and they go to them first to ask about things.
Sure.
Good.
Yeah.
I want that because it makes that it's fulfilling the assistant coaches too. They've got purpose. They're not just wasting their time being there.
Yeah, completely agree with that for sure. Yeah, I was able to go around and talk to basically. I was spent time with every player yesterday, every individual player, because I have a staff that was able to run our stations.
Yeah.
And that's typically how it is.
Yeah.
So especially when they're all there, and these guys have been there this year. There hasn't been a lot of days that they haven't been there. So, but I want them to maintain that flexibility.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I don't know if you've ever ran into someone that was like if you've asked them to coach, and they're like, I don't know, I'm coaching my kid, and I got this and I got that, and I just don't think I have time.
And they say that because they're thinking, I know what the commitment level is every single day from this time to this time, and there's no way I can do that.
Yeah, or I have to do I expect to be there. Like if I want to expect another,
or you're expecting that out of them.
But that's where, not me, the coach.
They're thinking you're expecting that out of them.
I said that as a joke because I felt like I might have told you that at a time in the past, but. My idea was if I can't be there 100% of the time, how can I expect a kid to be there 100% of the time? But that's your role, right? So that's where your responsibilities with your role come in, and you try to be the best in your role, and sometimes your role doesn't involve being there all the time. Right. Sometimes your role doesn't involve being on the field all the time. You know what I mean? So
that's a great point because it's. You're not less committed. Like if you want to be an assistant coach, because we need good assistant coaches working with, but you may not be able to be there all the time. You're not less committed because you can't be there every practice because you got a job.
Right.
So what we try to that's a great point. We try to communicate to our players, to our team, hey, listen, in life there are priorities. Sure. And while this is a huge priority, like we want to be with you guys and we want to teach you how to win and be winners and in the game of life as well as baseball. We also have families and we have, and so there's a different commitment level. Yep. Like me as a head coach, I shouldn't take the job if I can't be there all the time, right? There may be one or two times. There may be some things that I have to miss for that are emergencies or whatever, but you can expect to see me the most, right? Our assistant coaches, they're going to be here most of the time, but they're also going to be missing because they have jobs, they have families, and I'm okay. We're okay with it. We need to all be okay.
Because the alternative is
you don't have them at all.
You don't have them at all.
Yeah, because what you were getting at is the guy will say, I can't do it because I can't be there 100% of the time.
Sure. And now being a head coach and seeing that and understanding that, the value, even those guys that say I can't be there, these days, this time, knowing how important they are to me and
when they are there,
and to the program, I regret skipping out on those opportunities. Like I wish I would have
skipping out on the opportunities that I asked you.
So we didn't. We just ramble, don't we? Like we can come
For 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I see Emma's out there. She's wanting to know how to use the studio. I've got students that are making podcasts. A lot of them.
It's cool.
This place is starting to fill up. Like yesterday, the studio was back to back appointments, and today is pretty much like that too. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it is cool. It's really cool to see that. Yeah.
Well, who knows when we'll be able to get back in here?
Who knows?
We'll try.
Yeah.
It might actually.
It's on our calendar every week, but we'll just.
And you know, full disclaimer or transparency. It's normally my fault that we don't record.
Well,
every once in a while,
full
Coach will lie.
Transparency. There are times when you say I can't make it. I'm like, oh, good.
No, he makes this up. Like I'll say, Coach, I can't make it. He's like, oh, good. I need to go down to the plains and pick some tomatoes or something. I can make something up just to make me feel better about it. But
yeah,
we'll try to get here because it's
spring break next week. So
I think Megs is losing out on their spring break.
Well, I mean OU spring break.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah,
I don't know. Does life get more busy for you or less when the university's on spring break? It doesn't change. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's a lot less busy for me.
One of the problems I have is I'm not my day in the office is a lot shorter now throughout the week consistently.
Starts a lot earlier.
So
are you able to flex time?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's how I survive through this time.
6 a.m. I'm answering emails and getting class stuff
I normally
ready.
work later in the evening.
Do you? Yeah. I'll come back. Like what I typically do is early morning, and then if I cut out a couple hours early in the afternoon, 3 o'clock, after practice, I'll look at my phone. I'll see if I've got to respond to anything immediate, I'll just do it right there from the school. Because I got my computer and everything, and so whatever's immediate, I can do that, and then maybe a couple other things at night. But you know, I do now that I'm teaching. It's like I'll work on that. Like it's not people stuff. I mean, the teaching is, but the preparation.
Yeah, and a lot of work that I do doesn't require, it's just me
face-to-face people
on a computer.
Yeah,
in a server.
Just get it done. Yeah.
It's just But
yeah,
hopefully we'll be together soon, and if not,
well,
22 days.
The next time, that's right. The next time we do a podcast, I will have played a scrimmage. You will have played it. Well, maybe depending on. You said yours might get canceled Saturday. I guess there's a chance all of ours could get canceled Saturday, but as of right now, the weather really doesn't look too bad, in my opinion.
Well,
maybe not everybody.
We're going
in
to
Southeast
Lewisburg,
District,
which is a little further. I guess
a little further south.
Won't really make it warmer, but it is going to be pretty chilly.
Well, it just depends.
And there's some snow.
If snow comes up that river like that.
True. Yeah. There's a chance of snow in Lewisburg Saturday, so that's me and Kate are talking about moving to next Saturday, which is supposed to be 76, but there's a chance of rain.
Yeah, 8 or 9 days out prediction. So that's tough.
Yeah,
that's all just probability.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, meteorology.
It was good talking to you.
Yep.
Coach.